Welcome to another episode of Southern Arizona's Nonprofits, the superheroes impacting our community. We're broadcasting live today on the Tucson Business Channel, a division of Mark Bishop Media, from the Stewart Title corporate offices on Broadway in Tucson, Arizona. This show is brought to you by SCIP, SSCIP, the Social Service Contractors Indemnity Pool, ensuring nonprofits like ours for more than 3.5 decades. I'm Barbara McClure, Executive Director of Impact of Southern Arizona, host of the show, and with me today is an individual working to promote creative opportunities for differently abled individuals to showcase the incredible talents of these many members of our community. Please join me in welcoming Jonni Campbell, Executive Director of an upcoming nonprofit called Differently Abled Entertainers. Welcome, Jonni. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much.
And we had another gentleman who is going to be with us, but it is allergy season in Tucson, and his child came home with some major allergy issues. So we had one of the artists who was going to join us. But Jonni and I can tell you about him and about many others, I'm sure. So, Jonni, how long have you been in Tucson?
I've been here for 6 years. I was here a little bit in 2010, and then I was gone, but now I've been back for 6 years.
Sure. Where did you live in those other years?
I was back in Nebraska, and then I was in New Mexico for a little bit.
Gosh, that sounds like fun. I've recently discovered New Mexico. We had came through on a way home from a vacation, and it's gorgeous there.
It is. It's very beautiful.
That's very fun. So you've been performing and acting, I know. That's one of your entertaining talents, and I'm sure you have many others. So how long have you been doing that, and where did you get started with it?
Well, my first time on stage was singing, actually. I performed at a bluegrass festival in Alaska when I was like 3.5 years old. But then in grade school, I did some like talent contests and little short skit type plays. And then ever since 7th grade, though, actually it was 6th grade, I started getting involved in school, like the high school productions. I was actually the only middle schooler to be cast in a high school production when I was in 6th grade. And then from there, I just continued through high school and then college and beyond.
It just sounds like the drama bug caught you, didn't it? The performing bug.
It really did. It's my favorite. It's my favorite buzz.
Isn't that fun?
Like once it gets a hold of you, it doesn't let go.
I think that's true. I was in drama in school as a young woman, and I thought it was so much fun, even though it was a little daunting to memorize all the lines. But there's just something fun about pretending to be someone else.
That's exactly what I love about it is, I've had an interesting life growing up. I'll put it that way, a little tumultuous and very interesting. I moved around a lot. I was the new kid a lot. And it was just always nice to be able to kind of have a little bit of an escape into like another little place and be somebody else and get to pretend like you're in another world and another land. And I don't know. I always loved dress up and make believe and all those things. And so acting and theater is just, a way to bring all that to life. And also professionally, I've used it as a way to try to help educate people. And we're working on a play right now with Differently Abled Entertainment called Funny as a Crutch that deals with 10 different short stories, short skits that deal with different disabilities, seen and unseen. And just, it's very humorous, but also very thought-provoking. And so that's one of the things that I love about acting and theater is, any kind of art is a way to get people to think about things and bring life to life.
There you go. And you're acting as the producer and the director?
Yes.
And you're filming it, or is it a live?
It's a live theater production, yeah.
That'll be fun. And where and when will we get to come and visit?
Well, it'll be the middle of October. And actually, we were thinking we had the spot picked. I'm not going to say which, but now we've been offered another spot. We're going to be settling on that this week to finalize it for sure. And so everybody's just going to have to take a look at our Facebook page and try to keep up with us, and it'll be announced soon. But I don't want to say anything just yet because the final things might be getting tweaked.
Sure. Well, that's fair. And, I think everybody understands that, having come through COVID. And I know it was hard to find areas to put on presentations during COVID, too. So we're still all fluxing around, I think, whether you're doing fundraising in a nonprofit or putting on a production. But I was curious, can you tell me in advance where we would go to get tickets? Do you sell your tickets through Facebook?
There'll be a link. I usually in the past I've used brown bag tickets a lot, but then also Eventbrite is another one that people utilize a lot. There'll be a link on our Facebook page for tickets.
Okay, that'll be good for people to know. And of course, that's on the website for the show, so it'll be easy for people to find.
Yeah.
And so I was going to ask you, you've started this nonprofit, or you're getting it launched off the ground. And what gave you this idea?
Well, being differently abled myself, and I like to say that because disabled, I mean, yes, there's a lot of things that I cannot do anymore. And I feel that wording focuses on what people within the disabled community, what they lack. And I like to think that, there's still things that I am very capable of doing. I just might have to do them differently.
Sure.
And I think everybody, whether they're, something wrong with them physically or not, or whatever it may be, everybody has to approach life differently. And so that's our idea with Differently Abled Entertainment, is because, we all have our strengths and we have to approach them, differently. And so that's what life is all about. Everybody within our organization has some form of disability, whether it's seen or unseen, or, a combination of both.
Sure.
But I was injured in a car accident when I was 16. I was on my way to work. I lived out in western Nebraska, and I was a CNA at the time, and I was on my way to work, dirt roads, and I rolled my car, and I broke my back. And luckily at the time, I was a CNA, and I'd gone through like EMT training, and I was also taking classes on like physiology and stuff. So I was conscious through my accident, and I knew everything that was like happening. Like I was talking to myself like a first responder, and I try to like help myself from going into shock and stuff like that. But because I was out 8 miles out in the country, and it was about an hour and a half before anybody found me.
I was going to say,
and this is
pre-cell phones.
Yeah, pre-cell phones. This was 1998. I mean, there was a few cell phones around, but not really a lot, and I definitely didn't have one. It was.
How fortunate to have that training, though.
Yeah.
And to be able to just kind of talk yourself through it.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it was a very scary thing.
Yeah. Yes, it definitely was. But yeah, that training, I definitely feel grateful that I had that at the time. And looking back, I'm still very grateful. I think, it was definitely helpful. After, when people got there, that's when I kind of, I felt safe to, kind of break down and let go. Sure. But I kind of kept myself together for that while I had to, and just was talking to myself out loud, talking to myself in third person even, like, John Lee, you've broken your back, you need to relax, So, yeah, it's, I was definitely grateful to have the training that I had at the time, though.
Well, and what a tough adjustment for a high school student, too. Yeah. So, for sure. And I think, your comment about there's so many people with different abilities, I think really in the biggest, broadest picture, every one of us on this planet is differently abled.
Exactly.
In any different way. So, I think it's so comprehensive. Well, what's the mission work of your nonprofit going to be? What's your focus?
Our mission is to promote and encourage differently abled artists within the entertainment industry by producing content featuring their talents. And so far we've hosted numerous photo shoots with different varying themes, and we've helped over 20 models get their first publications in various magazines.
That's very fun.
Including myself as one of them.
Nice.
and since then, I've been published quite a bit. I've been in probably almost 20 magazines now. So, that's something that we've worked really hard on. And then also besides that, we're in the process of starting wanting to put together a small podcast. We've done some short film stuff. We've helped with a couple of music videos. Just kind of anything that we can get our hands on. We try to get our hands on, get our fingers in, anything creative, creatively related, and definitely anything with film, TV, photography, anything like that. Because, as far as with the modeling stuff, it it goes with acting in a strange way to where it's just nice. It's a good way to add to your resume. By being published in magazines, it just shows that you're marketable. It's just a good way to build yourself up, even if you're not really like myself. I'm not really, my end goal isn't necessarily to be a quote unquote model. But if that exposure helps me get roles or gets me noticed, then okay. And I think that's, when you're in the entertainment industry, you kind of have to be able to be flexible and, just really be able to be willing to put yourself out there in different ways. And so that's what I'm trying to do and what my company organization is trying to help others do as well.
That's really neat. I think how do people get a hold of you then, say other differently abled people who are interested in entertainment in that industry? Should they reach out to your nonprofit then? And do you help kind of match them? As we, Impact is such a resource center. So when our clients come in, if we don't have the answer, we can connect them with all the other people who do. So it sounds like it'd be similar.
Yeah, we're trying to build up, a database, and I have a connection with some casting people and some directors, and a few of them now know that if they're looking for somebody that is, within the disabled community, to reach out to me because I probably know an actor. That's one of the things that we're striving to help impact and change is the fact that, according to Google, like over 26% of Americans live with some sort of disability, but yet we're only represented in film and TV like 1 to 2%.
I'm sure.
And a lot of times we're represented by people that are actually able-bodied. I'm sure you can think of a movie that you just off the top of your head where somebody that was not actually disabled was portraying a disabled character.
Oh, sure. I think it happens all the time in all levels of movie.
Yeah. I mean, it really does. And, and that's something that, I would like to see some change in that to where if you're needing somebody that's in a wheelchair, that you actually hire somebody that's really in a wheelchair.
Sure.
I mean, yes, it's acting and acting is acting, but on some levels it's as offensive as pretending to be a different race.
Sure. I was thinking back to the old Westerns, and the different nationalities of people who played other nationalities and how unusual that was.
Yeah.
In cowboys and Indian movies, you couldn't find a Native American to portray the Native American.
Yeah.
So, sure, that's why I was getting at. In movies, you see that all the time.
Yeah, you really do. And I think in Hollywood and across the board, we're starting to see a shift of that because society is starting to speak up a little bit more about the fact that they want to be represented by people that are actually have the right to be represented by them, and to be, portrayed honestly.
Yes, I was going to say it's authentic.
Authentically, sure. Yes, exactly. And, I mean, I can think of movies where, an able-bodied actor did an amazing job, but still, it's like, I don't know, there's plenty of disabled actors out there that are just waiting for an opportunity and a chance. And a lot of times I think they get looked over and passed up because of their disabilities and because, they might need extra accommodations on set or, there's things that go along with having a disabled person on your set and involved in a production that, some people, it intimidates them. Sure. Or they're worried about their budget or just whatever it may be. There's a lot of blocks, I guess, that are put up when you're a member of the disabled community and trying to just be out in the normal world.
Sure. And I think it is an interesting statistic, that Google reports, a quarter of the population.
Yeah.
It's something that we're required to ask on our applications because for some federal funding. And it is amazing that there are so many people. But again, that's just part of life. They're just reflective of the whole part of the whole population. So it will be nice when we see them in all those other areas, like you say, even in magazines. And I've noticed that's changed a lot. And just not even just the general modeling, but Now when I look at a catalog and you're ordering online, you see even the models in the catalog are all different sizes of people and different ethnicities, and you do see some disabled folks, and I think that's really nice to kind of wake us up, make us conscious of the fact that there are so many different people out in the world. So thank you for doing what you do. That's exciting.
Well, thank you for that.
Sure. I know Kenny was disappointed not to be here. He's one of the disabled or differently abled entertainers, and he shared that he has multiple sclerosis. So as you're saying, some are visible and some are not, but how challenging that disease can be.
Yeah.
And to be a stand-up comedian who's putting on shows at night, keeping late hours and getting up back early in the morning to clean up and move on and to take care of those things. So that's pretty exciting. And I know
Kenny's amazing, and I'm really happy to have him a part of my organization, to be one of our volunteers and be collaborating with him. He's great. He's also one of the writers on our magazine. We have our own magazine that we promote, and we talk about the different topics each month, as far as like national topics, like September is Pain Month, it's Healthy Aging Month, it's Pancreatic Cancer Month. And so each month we have different stories and different things to help enlighten and educate and just bring awareness to different topics that are, the national awareness topics anyway.
Sure.
And so, but yeah, he's one of our writers, and he's incredible, and he's absolutely hilarious too to watch his stand up. I really enjoyed it when I got to see it.
He is recently, there was, you really put on this big event with Kenny and Catalina as kind of a fundraiser to earn some money for the nonprofit. And then also because Impact is in the same strip mall, if you will, our clothing bank, then it was very generous of you both to put up an ask for clothing and for food. September for us is Hunger Awareness Month. So those are always nice ways to partner in the community. So thank you for that also. Yeah. We've used the food that you sent over already.
I'm sure. And that's one thing that's always a need. I don't think there's ever enough of those types of food drives and clothing drives and stuff like that. And that's something that we're working on, putting more events together to where we can help give back, because especially within the disabled community, so many people are on such limited incomes. That's also something that goes along with being a member of the disabled community, is, you have very limited means, and sometimes it's hard to just have those basic things and to have enough food to last a whole month, and to, I've been through that struggle myself, where you utilize the food banks, and and are always so grateful for those, and it's always something that I really, whenever I can, be a part of something to give back to anything that helps with that. I try to, because I've been a person who has benefited from those, and I know how necessary they are just for, everybody.
Well, and it's a good point you make, because I think, even in Kenny's situation, you have different equipment to purchase, you have more medical bills than I probably do. At the moment, I'm healthy. But, it's just all those kinds of things just add up into a family budget. So, yeah, we get it. At Impact, we get it. So that's kind of fun that you are thinking the same way. So that's very nice. Now, I was going to ask you, can you tell our audience about the Michael Ray Show?
Well, the Michael Ray Show is a podcast that we are working on putting together. We might be revamping it a little bit, because Michael Ray is an actor, and he is one of my co-founders, but he's getting very, very busy. And so he's getting concerned about the fact of being able to actually host it all the time and have it be the Michael Ray Show. And so we actually have a meeting on that here later on. To decide exactly where we're taking that. We were very excited. We were going to be launching at the beginning of September, and then due to some technical issues, we've had to postpone that launch. And now we're kind of in the talks of seeing if it's going to be the Michael Ray Show or what. But We're in the works on that.
Well, that's what we find at Impact too, is it's always innovating. You come up with an idea, and then as you start to launch it or you start to kind of flush it out, new ideas come in. So it sounds like it'll be a fun thing to look forward to. But I also meant to ask you, you were talking about your magazine. Where can listeners find your magazine?
We're on magcloud.com. They're a place that they host a lot of magazines, but you can look us up. It's a day, and that's DAE for Differently Abled Entertainment. We call ourselves Day. But it's Seize the Day magazine is the name of our magazine, but Day is DAE instead of the normal DAY for Differently Abled Entertainment. But it's Day magazine, so DAE magazine.magcloud.com.
Very fun. We'll make sure that we get that on the show format too, so people can look for that. That'll be fun. So who inspired you to start directing, Jonni?
That would be, a little bit in high school. My teacher, Mrs. Artizono, she got me kind of stage managing and student directing a little bit. But then in college, the instructor, the head of the theater department in my college at Western Nebraska Community College, she talked to me about the fact that, she knew that I'd done some stage managing. She asked me if I would take a scholarship to be the assistant director for the theater department at the college. And
nice.
Yes.
That's a nice opportunity.
It was an amazing opportunity. And she goes, this is why I'm wanting to give this opportunity to you, because I see your talents, and you're very, very talented. And I also see your capabilities of, I'm a continuity freak.
Oh, that's important though in that industry.
It is. I'm a continuity. I notice little details, and so she's like, that backstage is just so important. And then also, she goes, you should think about as you go forward, directing more. And I want, she goes, this is why I'm asking you to be my assistant director, because being a disabled actress, she goes, I know you probably already run into problems, as far as getting cast and things. And I had.
Sure.
And she goes, when you're on the other side, then it doesn't matter if the stage is accessible. It doesn't matter if there's a role that's fit for you, because you're the one that's designing, you're directing it. She goes, it'll be a lot easier for you to go forward in this industry being on the other side. She goes, and I'm not saying give up on acting entirely. She goes, because you are a very good actress. She goes, but given the fact that you are disabled, she goes, you need to start directing.
Well, that's an interesting thought too, because I would think, who writes your stories, the stories that you direct? Because I would think that the storyline would be interesting too. I mean, for people who write storylines specifically for those kinds of characters.
Yeah, at the time, in college, usually, we were doing like classic type plays and stuff
Sure.
like that. She cast me as Mrs. Cratchit, though, in A Christmas Carol, because she's like, to me, she goes, it makes sense. Tiny Tim, we don't know exactly what's wrong with Tiny Tim, but there's something wrong with Tiny Tim, and who's to say that there wasn't something wrong with his mother as well?
Sure.
So, she was, and some directors and, can see that, can see where I fit, or where somebody that's, physically disabled would fit, even if the character itself isn't necessarily written for somebody that's disabled. Because, when it comes down to it, I'm just a woman.
Right.
Like any other woman. I'm 40 years old, and I've got 4 kids, and I've done a lot in my life. And that would be expected of an able-bodied 40-year-old woman. It's not so expected of me. And that says a lot about society, I think.
Yeah, that's the hard part, isn't it? It's what we're trying to overcome.
Exactly.
Sure.
And that's something that I would like to see, as far as even, yes, I would like to see disabled actors portraying disabled characters, for one, but also the way that disabled characters are portrayed to begin with. I think that shift, is important too. And the fact that just because they're disabled doesn't mean that the whole storyline has to be about the fact that how they're disabled or why they're disabled or whatever. They could just be a person, just a normal person in a movie that happens to be in a wheelchair that you don't even know why that they're in a wheelchair, or they're an amputee, or they're whatever it is. It might be, physically, because it's the physical that you can see, the ones within the community that have like the unseen things. I think they might be harder to deal with because people don't set those limitations on you.
Sure.
And they expect you, because you look able-bodied, to be able to
do everything
that somebody else can be. And so
Sure.
I can see how that can be really hard on somebody, but yet at the same time they're able to like pass themselves off as being okay, and like me, I can't do that.
Not as easily.
Not
I bet
as
you
easily.
can do it in certain circumstances.
I mean, in certain circumstances, yes. If I was to be hidden behind a thing, or like in a vehicle where I'm driving, which I was in a short movie over the summer, where the fact that I'm disabled isn't mentioned at all. I'm a woman that's driving a car. I pick up this guy. He gets in my car, and we have this conversation as I'm taking him to go take care of what he has to do, and that's the movie.
Sure.
I'm just a woman.
Right.
Because you can't tell that there's anything, and that's okay too, and I love that, that I was willing, that the director, again, it was a director that was willing to see past the fact that I normally sit in a wheelchair, and see past the fact that my legs don't work. But like, other than that, I mean, if you just are looking at me, seeing me, if you, I'm still just
a whole person.
Just
still.
a person.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. That is interesting. It will help me watch movies in a whole different way, just to wonder around in the background.
Right. Yeah. There's, I've noticed a lot, like lately, especially on like Netflix. I have to like really say that I'm really happy to see how many disabled actors and shows with interesting storylines, that deal with disabled characters and stuff like that they're putting out. As far as what I've seen, they're one of the most where I see just really interesting and really thought-provoking, and not just the same. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like the same regurgitated story when it comes to a lot of disabled stories. Like, it's like, here's this person and something happens to them and they hate their lives and they're miserable because of the thing that happened to them. But then they decide that it's not that bad, and then it's, okay, and then their life is all better.
Happy ever after.
Happy ever after.
Sure.
And that's like just like the same the same storyline that goes with like any time that you have a story about somebody that's disabled. I feel like it's just that same storyline over and over and over again. And so I'm liking that I'm seeing just characters that are just in something, that are just a normal person.
Right.
Because that's what all of us are that are within the disabled community. We're just people.
Sure. And you don't have to know that person's background.
Yeah, you don't.
If you don't need it in the character itself for the plot. Sure.
Exactly. Like, what difference does it make?
That's very fun. Well, you know what? We're going to take a quick break to hear a quick message from Skip, and we'll be back in a moment.
Today's program is brought to you by Skip, the Social Service Contractors Indemnity Pool. Skip is a member-owned, member-directed insurance provider with more than 3 decades of insuring Arizona social service organizations for their property, general and professional liability, and auto claim exposures. With an Arizona-based staff of claim underwriting and risk management professionals, Skip specializes in providing personalized service, affordable premiums, and coverage which meets and often exceeds the state of Arizona's contract requirements for social service providers. For more information, visit our website at www.sscip.org or ask your insurance agent about protecting your organization with insurance coverage through Skip.
I'm back with Southern Arizona's superheroes impacting the community, and I have with me Jonni Campbell, who is with differently abled actors or entertainers. She happens to be an actor. And I was going to ask you, Jonni, what other kind of entertainers are that? You were saying there are lots of people in like Hollywood and acting, but I know we were saying Kenny is a stand-up comedian. Do you have musicians and other folks that are in your group?
Yes, yeah, we have worked with a few musicians in the past. We've helped produce a few music videos for different individuals. Local Tucson bands here, mostly, obviously. That's where we're kind of starting with everybody out first. But we have had a few, not as many as like the actors and models and stuff like that come out to us to like reach out to us to wanting to get involved. But we worked a lot with one band in particular called Method to the Madness.
Okay.
And we've helped with a few of their music videos and also a lot of their getting published as far as modeling and stuff like that goes, and just getting their band a little bit more recognized, and photo shoots that are, for like album cover type stuff. And, they've... I always say our photo shoots are open to anybody who needs them, and we keep them very, very affordable. It's usually anywhere from like $10 to $30 to sign up for one of our photo shoots because, as I was saying, we realize that people within the disabled community a lot of times are on a limited budget.
Sure.
And so, but we all have dreams that we're trying to achieve, and a lot of times, things are put out of our reach. And so that's one of the things that we're trying to bring back down into everybody's grasp,
Sure.
and Method of the Madness was one of them that they attended quite a few of our photo shoots and stuff like that, and it helped them get recognized in a few different magazines, which helped them get some other gigs outside of Tucson, and and just kind of expand their growth, and and that's our whole mission, is to help people. And both of the frontliners of that have different, disabilities wrong with them.
Do you use a professional photographer?
Yes.
Because I was going to say, that sounds like a great way for the community to volunteer with you.
Yeah.
Or to offer their services. So
Yeah.
do you...
And I mean, and some of the photographers that we've used are, and like I said, we consider everybody is differently abled.
Sure.
So you don't necessarily have to have some form of disability to work with us or to work with our company. Mostly, everybody has been, but we have had a few photographers that, are able-bodied that have worked with us. But a lot of even our photographers and our other people, like... There's so many things that people deal with, whether it's, we've had photographers with diabetes, social anxiety things, fibromyalgia, arthritis, all those things, that a lot of the unseen things. That's where you see with a lot of the photographers, is a lot of those have opened up to me about the fact that they have this unseen thing that, and that's one thing that I've noticed, that some people have come to our organization because, they're like, yeah, well, I do have this unseen thing that I've never really, talked to anybody about or don't really like advertise, but yet I feel like this is a safe place to be able to come and to be able to share and be able to like really be honest about like health things and stuff like that. And we keep, I keep things on wrap, as far
Sure.
as like we respect everybody's privacy and stuff like that. I don't go and share and say, oh, well, this is what's wrong with that person and that person, and this, it's very, very kept private if it's given to it's kind of like,
sure.
When it comes to that, we try to be very respectful of, it's like if some people don't mind people knowing all their everything.
Right.
And other people don't want that to be known.
We have that same thing, of course, at Impact. So it's for them to share. It's their story to share, not our story to share.
Exactly.
That's how we look at it, sure. But I was just thinking, out in the community, there's so many people who might have inroads to or connections to movies or modeling or photography or any of these things that would be related. And one of the things that I love about this show is it connects the community of listeners to these different nonprofits and different nonprofits to other nonprofits that have the ability to partner. So is there anything in particular your organization wishes they had at the moment that could be answered by people listening?
I don't know. We're always looking for more people to work with and to collaborate with on different events. we would love to have a space
I was
to
gonna
where
say.
we could do more of our events, and have a space to where we can do like theater productions and maybe to where we could do more than just like one a year, or you know what I mean? Something
Sure.
to where we could do things like that a little more often. That would be one of our main goals in this next year or so, is like just finding that space to be able to actually do things more freely.
Sure.
That's one of our goals, and then just other sponsors and anything like that. I mean, we're barely starting out. I'm still actually we have filed with the I'm waiting to hear back from the IRS to get my final letter that's saying that yes, we're 100% 501c3, and
It's
that should
official.
Yeah, it's official. But we're just starting out, and I'm starting out with just our dreams, basically, is what we're starting out with.
Well, I think that's fair to say that's how most nonprofits start out, with a dream. Somebody has a dream, they see a need, and they want to meet that need, and then they think they can, and they get energized, and before you know it, there's just like you're saying, a group of people form around you, and then it happens.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying. I'm like, I've been trying to build up my army, is what I say. I'm like, I need an army behind me of people. And so far, I mean, we have about 20 volunteers that are really very dedicated. And then, and we have a few others that kind of float in and out. And overall, though, we have a private Facebook group page where, anybody can join, but you just got to answer some questions, so that way we can filter out some of the other people.
Sure.
We don't want everybody to join. But we have over 300 people on that Facebook group page. And so
That's nice. That's a good number.
Yeah, it is.
Just getting started. That's terrific.
We're growing slowly but surely, and I'd like to get more of those 300 people involved in more of the stuff that we're doing all the time. But a little bit at a time, I'll take what I can get.
Well, I was thinking ourselves, we are talking to someone, there's so much empty commercial space out there right now, and big box stores. All these big box stores that have left during COVID and are coming back, or left right before COVID. So we're working to negotiate with someone who has a big box space to give us some room just to bring in some materials and process them, on a large empty floor. So I'm thinking to any of those listeners out there who are related or have a connection to a mall space. We were somewhere, we were over in Cotero and Thornydale the other day, and much of the strip mall was empty. I was amazed. So, there's a lot of space out there that people could maybe get a write-off, donating some use of it to a nonprofit. So
exactly,
there's a possibility for somebody listening who would like to get that up and going.
Yes, that is one of the things that I've been really putting out there. And I see places a lot of times that I'm like, I drive by and I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be a great place for a theater. Like,
Exactly.
Wouldn't that be awesome? And not only a theater, but we could do our magazine there. We could do photo shoots there. We could do studio stuff there. We could make, short movies. We can, I'm like, ooh. And so every time I'm driving down any kind of street, I'm always like, oh, there's a spot. I'm just, hopefully maybe there's somebody out there that goes, yes, we have that, and we want to help the disabled actors in Tucson.
There you go. You'll be surprised. I think that's the fun of this show, that it's surprising to see the connections that get made. So you never know. I think it's just an interesting idea of a way community can get together with something they've probably never even thought about before listening today. So that's why I think it's worth mentioning. And I think my husband and I went to a play that was a pop-up in one of the malls in Tucson. So somebody had just borrowed the space and set up a stage, and it was kind of a simple format. It wasn't a really busy backdrop on the stage.
Was that the Rose Theater? I know
Is
they were
it
doing
inside
stuff
the
at
mall?
the Tucson Mall.
It could have been. Mhm.
Yeah. I've checked out their stuff, and it seems like they're pretty. That's pretty neat how they have their productions.
Yeah, and it was kind of, when we first went, we're like, what are we going to do? We're going to go in the mall and try to find this place. It was just an interesting thing. But it was it was a neat place to do it, and we had so much fun. So it was just unique. So there's another idea.
Yeah.
So for people who are listening, you can imagine going to a show in a unique theater environment. And so what other events do you have coming up? You have your production coming up in October. Anything else on the books?
After this new year, and actually it'll be next fall when we really start filming, but definitely Able to Entertainment, we have our hands on a SAG indie script.
Nice.
And we already have a few known names involved. We're waiting until after the first of the year to really make our announcements.
Sure.
But yeah, we're very, very, very excited about that. It'll be a feature length. And yeah, it's low budget SAG indie, but it's still, it's very, very exciting.
That's what makes all those film festivals fun to go to anyway. So
yeah,
that'll be nice.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited for that. And on a personal level right now, I went ahead and, like I said earlier, I'm not being in the entertainment industry, you just got to kind of put yourself out there. And I decided to sign up. There's this contest that I seen. It's called The Face of Horror.
Oh, fun.
And
October's coming. So.
October is coming. I am a fan of horror movies, and I went ahead and I signed up for it. And people get like free votes every day until like the 15th of September. If I make it in the top 20 of the group that I'm in, and then I go into the next one. And the prize for that is like $13,000. You get to go to the Buffalo Bill House, which is where Silence of the Lambs.
Oh my gosh.
And do a photo shoot and stuff there. And so I'm very, very excited. And right now I'm currently ranked 4th in my group. And so totally on a side note, if anybody wants to just kind of help me out and go to my Facebook page, it's on there public, and give me a vote and help me become the face of horror.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So you go on not your personal Facebook, but the DAE?
No, well, I'll put it on DAE too. I'll share it on there. I can share it on there, but it's on my personal one as well.
I am so not a horror movie person. They make me so nervous. That Silence of the Lambs was the craziest, oddest movie. But it's just funny. The program director at Impact, that's her favorite genre of movies. She goes to all the scary, scary, scary movies. So I'm going to tell her she'll be excited for you.
Yeah, I'm more, I like the psychological stuff, like Silence of the Lambs and stuff like that. I'm not really into like the super gory, like slasher dasher, slash 'em movies, but it's just like blood and gore. But I like it when the suspense and the thriller and that stuff that just kind of gets under your skin and kind of creeps you out and makes you think, and that's what I like. I like that rush of kind of being intimidated and a little scared, but like the blood and guts, I can do without those so much, but when they really get into your head, those are my favorite.
That's the part I don't like, when you're walking down that quiet hallway and you know someone's going to jump out. Yeah. That anxiety for me, just can't do it. But that's too fun. But that doesn't mean I won't vote for you to get you into that to be the face of horror.
Yeah.
But I might not see the show, or I'll look at your pictures. That won't be so scary.
Yeah.
But that's a fun thing to do. And who's putting that on?
It's faceofhorror.org. It's the first year that they're doing this contest, and I can't remember exactly. I mean, it has to do with Rogue Magazine. Oh,
that's okay. We'll look it up.
I don't want to misquote.
You can post it, and then
I don't want to misquote.
We'll go find it.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun, but that's certainly timely, for sure.
Yeah, I just, I happened to see it, and I was like, why not? And I had photos of this. It's one of my favorite photo shoots that I've done, actually, because I do have a thing for vampires.
Okay.
And so I did a vampire shoot where it was like this bloodbath. Like a kind of a sexy bloodbath shoot, and so those are the pictures that I used to because I have like blood all over my face and hands and stuff, but it's still kind of pretty, like
there you go.
That pretty goth vampire covered in blood look. So I'm hoping it'll.
Well, that's the fun part of photo shoots and actors and actresses. You have to. All these actors have to have pictures that show everything they can do. So I bet you have a fun portfolio.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I love about what we do with Differently Abled Entertainment and all of our different shoots is because, yes, I now have a portfolio that has pictures of me as a vampire.
Right.
I have pictures of me as a gypsy. I have pictures of me as a steampunk person. I have pictures of me as whatever character you might want if I've done it so far, I have a nymph. I have all kinds of different ones. And so, yeah, that's one good thing and one thing that I try to, when I'm trying to get my other actor friends involved with our photo shoots, they're like, well, I'm an actor. I don't really care about modeling. And I'm like, yeah, but when you're applying and you send in a headshot that's just your normal headshot, isn't it also good to send in a shot that's a character shot? Like if they were wanting something for a specific thing, like
Sure.
You can get that here. You can get that with us. You can get all those character shots that you need. And even just, we do regular photo shoots too that are just, for headshots and
sure.
the standard ones. But the other ones are really a lot of fun. And we do ones that are, to raise awareness. Also, we have a domestic violence shoots coming up.
Nice.
That we're going to do some PSAs with. And then we have a Hocus Pocus shoot that we're doing with just myself.
For Halloween?
Yeah. And that's just myself and two other actresses that are involved in the organization that we're doing this special shoot, and that's just, it's something, it's fun. And any kind of ideas, I try to incorporate whatever when somebody comes to me and like, hey, this is like something that I've really wanted to do and like nobody wants to do it. If I can do it, we will do it. Because I love trying to do new ideas, and especially when it comes to, when it comes to creating things for film, movie, modeling, stuff like that, like your creativity, like there's really, like it's boundless, especially now with all the tricks of like computers and editing and stuff like that. You can take a picture and you can be in a castle and, whatever, but with editing and all that, it's just amazing what's possible, I guess, and what you can.
Well, that's a good point, because I was thinking, well, then you have to have a background. And I was thinking, well, you might as well get, 8 or 10 or 20 actors all dolled up and make use of a good background. But You're right, now with CGI, it's...
Yeah,
that's old school, isn't it?
A little bit. But, and we've hosted shoots. We did a medieval shoot up at Mulholland Castle, over off of Ajo and Mission.
Oh, I'm
there.
not familiar with that.
Well, if you look it up, it's beautiful. It's actually like a little castle up on the hill here in Tucson, and it's pretty interesting, and some of the history behind it's pretty interesting. But yeah, and so I've tried to find different locations that fit what we need. Like we have a steampunk day coming up at Harker's Museum and Movie Set. That it's like an Old West town, and so we're going to be doing a whole steampunk theme there. So it'll, we try to find locations that work, but then, and sometimes we do things like off the wall places, but then, like you said, with a green screen or whatever, you can make a lot of things happen. We have a big Mad Hatter shoot coming up that we're going to be doing on a rooftop downtown for Alice in Wonderland. One of our actresses is she does Mad Hatter very, very well. She's kind of known for it, and so she's our Mad Hatter, and we have a lot of different actors in town that are already signed up for that. And then we only allow people or models for that kind of shoot when there's characters or something involved. You got to pick your character, and there can only be one. So that way we don't end up with like 10 Mad Hatters and like 5 Red Queens and all that. So we're very particular as, first come, first serve when it comes to like those character shoots that we do, because, we don't want, we kind of just want, like if you're casting a movie, there's only one.
Right, exactly.
there can only be one.
And then you put those photos on your Facebook?
Yeah, we put them up on our Facebook, and then we publish them in our Seize the Day magazine, and then we also have a sister magazine. We've only put out one issue so far, but it's called Damned for Differently Abled Models.
Okay.
And it's a pop-up, and that's where we showcase our photo shoot stuff that we do.
That is very fun.
Yeah.
You're making me think of some other things, so we'll have to catch up afterwards. There's so many things out there in the community, and I'm surprised you've found all these really fun, unique places since you've only lived in Tucson a short time.
Well, that's one thing. I grew up with like explorer type people. I grew up with truck drivers and stuff like that. And my mom's always been one to really be out and about. And once I get somewhere, I like to really know it. Like it's funny when I'm driving around in this town or when I get a ride, I'll ride with somebody that's a native, let's say. And usually I end up giving them directions because I know Tucson so well, and I know these different locations, and I'm good at just kind of researching. I like to look stuff up. Like recently we did a Viking shoot, and we did it out at Sweetwater Preserve, and it was right after the monsoons, and the water reserve out there is full, and the grass is high, and we got these amazing pictures that look like we're not in Tucson. And we are and that is just like right off of Prince on the west side of I-10, if you've never been there.
No, I haven't, and I actually just learned about it about 2 days ago, and it was the same thing. Someone posted a photo and said, "Can you believe this is in Tucson?"
Yeah.
So I'm sure there are a lot of hidden treasures here.
Yeah, there really are. And I like to explore. I like to, and I have 4 kids, like I said, and so I go to a lot of different parks, and I just like to cruise around and explore and look at the trailheads. And, there's so many amazing parks and trailheads and stuff like that around Tucson. There's just so many. That's one of the things that I love about it here is like anywhere you look almost is beautiful. Like it's a good backdrop. Pretty much anywhere you go, you can get a nice shot.
Oh, sure. I love this place. This was our intended final destination, Tucson, and it is beautiful. Yeah. And most people are surprised by what is here. Mm-hmm. So thank you for bringing that to the photos, and I'm going to have to hop on your Facebook page and check some of those out.
Yeah.
And I think, is there anything else you'd like to bring up before we close the show, in case you haven't thought of it yet?
I don't know. I just, maybe a shout out to all of the other theater companies in town, like Valley of the Moon and Arts Express and Rose Theater, and just everybody out there that's doing what we all love to do, and just tell them, thank you for doing what you're doing. We appreciate you. We appreciate the art. And yeah.
And I think people should consider putting some art in their life.
Yes.
Taking in a show.
Yes.
Sounds like this fall there'll be quite a few as all the snowbirds return, and what a nice way to spend a nice fall evening.
Exactly. It's always fun.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for all you do. And as a mother, it's amazing that you're getting all these things accomplished. My mother-in-law used to say, "I'm tired just listening to you," and I can't imagine how you get all that done, Jonni, for so many people. But thank you for what you do for all the people in Tucson, for the people who are in the shows and the people who get to enjoy the presentation of them.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be here and talk about it, and just, thank you for everything that you do also with Impact and just everything. Thank you.
You're welcome. And we'll see you on the other side of the stage very soon.
All right.
Thank you.